Hello and welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic, the podcast where we drink and discuss nerdy fiction, and where the bells mean points, but the points mean nothing. I'm Adam.
I am Sean.
And I'm Mike.
Today is certainly one of our most anticipated episodes, anticipated by us at least. We will be talking about Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think it's safe to say we have thoughts.
Feelings,
all of the above. Attachments. No, you're not supposed to have attachments. But first, we want to share a huge thank you to everyone who has joined us on Podbean. We've been taking a break between seasons this summer, but the Podbean community has not. Oh my goodness, our listenership and downloads continue to grow, and we appreciate all of you. We also want to give a shout out to our followers on Twitter. That continues to grow as well, and we've been enjoying those great conversations taking place there. If you like what you hear, why not take a second to rate us and leave a review wherever you listen? It'd be a big help and totally free. But if rating isn't your thing, just mention us to a nerdy friend that would be just as good. And while you're at it, mention and check out our blog More Than Just Books as well. It's not just the cast, folks. And we'll be continuing to post new and nerdy discussions about the wide pop culture world of science fiction and fantasy. Now, onto the drink. Sean, since you brought this, would you mind discussing what you got in front of us?
Yeah, I saw a beer on the shelf in a store that looked good. So what we're drinking is from a brewery I've never heard of. It's called Beltline Brewery, which that's a great name. Mm-hmm. And it's called Buffalo Bohemian Czech-style Pilsner. And I noticed that it's since 2019.
Well, there's a lot of history.
So there is some history here. I got it because I'm on a huge Buffalo Bills kick right now.
Hey. Thank you. You can do that if you're not from Buffalo. If you do that in Buffalo, you're guaranteed to get at least one call back.
Oh my God. I was walking out of the Metallica show a couple of weeks ago, and I did that in the crowd, and it just went nuts. Everyone started doing it. I was like, oh, I did that.
That's a good crowd to do it in.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Great concert, by the way.
Great concert.
I heard.
Yep. Band of a generation. Anyway.
Yep.
So it looks good. I don't know. We'll see.
It's got a buffalo in the front with some like German fonty stuff. It's made with local Cascade hops and organic corn, so it looks like they're paying attention to their ingredients. Let's open it up and toast.
There's some ASMR for you. Yeah. Cheers.
All right. Cheers, gents.
Good summer beer.
Yeah, that's
nice.
What I was kind of going for.
Yeah.
Nice and light.
That is a Czech Pilsner.
It's a little bit like a Coors, I'd say. Maybe a little bit more tasteful.
Yeah, it's got a little more taste up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Coors, I always said Coors tastes like if you took a glass that had beer in it.
Added water.
And put water in that glass.
Well, are you talking about Coors Light or are you talking about Coors Banquet?
Well,
there's a difference.
Don't you dare talk.
Get the banquet beer out your fucking mouth.
This is Coors Light I'm speaking of. Yeah. But this does not have this at least half the beer was still in the glass for. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. This is good. This is a good summer beer.
Yeah, it's drinkable.
You can definitely tell. I mean, any Czech Pilsner is going to have a little bit of rice as the backbone after the malt in the front. So like you definitely get that nice malt wheaty flavor up in the front, and then it just goes away fast. I could drink a bunch of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's apparently 5.1% alcohol by volume, so
not bad.
Just barely more than the Miller Lite that I had a moment ago.
In our college days, we used to drink the ice beers, which were trendy at the time.
Oh yeah,
I got some in the fridge. You want some?
Do you?
Is it natural ice?
It's not natty ice, actually.
Okay.
But we used to drink those.
Smirnoff ice.
Ooh,
wow.
we
used to drink those because they had a higher alcohol.
Yeah.
But looking back, those were all like 5.1, 5.2. And now that, as far as craft beer goes, that passes for a very light beer.
It's a session something or other.
Exactly. I'm a fan of the Labatt Max Ice, I think, or something like that.
Because you can get
the black can.
22 ounces of it for $1.50.
Pounders.
Yep.
Gosh.
At the gas station.
Yep. So the only reason why I have Smirnoff Ices, again, is because it's a tradition in our friend group to hide them on people, and then when they're found, they have to drink them on bended knee in front of you. They have to chug it in front of you.
What a torture.
Damn.
So, yeah, we were at a getaway with some friends, and they were like, "Hey, thanks for coming into our suite. Here's some thank you gifts." I'm like, "Oh, I've got thank you gifts for you. Here you go."
Oh, nice.
They were like, "Thank you."
You should try that with Zima next time.
So Smirnoff Ice is essentially Zima,
Yeah.
but a little more lemon.
Is Zima still a thing? Is that still around?
I think you can order it somewhere.
I think they had a moment when the whole seltzer thing came back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, then everyone realized it wasn't seltzer, it was malt beverage.
Yeah. Malt liquor.
That's right. You might as well just play Edward 40 Hands and tape some 40s to your hands.
Nostalgia.
Oh, yeah. When you used to duct tape your hands
Well,
together.
speaking of malt liquor,
Sure.
Lando Calrissian was very famous for doing the malt liquor, the Colt 45 commercials back in I think the 70s or early 80s. So,
What was the actor's name who played Lando? Do you know?
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colt
Jeez.
45 malt liquor.
I'm just...
Smooth.
Sure.
You look absolutely beautiful. You, what does he say? You belong with us among the clouds.
Yes. So smooth.
Oh, man. Well, on that transition, since we're enjoying this beverage as it comes, we should probably move on to the actual text we're here to talk about. So, we had originally talked about the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan. Y'all want to refresh our memories on how you felt about that, or maybe, I guess, the character Obi-Wan in general before we move on to the last 4 episodes, 5 episodes?
We talked about this already?
We did talk about it already.
Where the hell was I?
Cast number 4 in the evening at the very end of
It was
season
a very late
2.
night.
Is that the one where I'm ghosted in the background? You can barely hear me?
Yes,
This
we
was-
had moved inside at Sean's house because it was getting cold.
Oh, yeah.
After multiple watermelon drinks had been consumed, followed by, what did I bring? Jenny.
You brought Jenny. Jenny Light. Yeah, thank God it wasn't cream ale.
That's right.
And I just remember being handed this last watermelon beverage, and I'm like, this isn't a beverage. I have to chew this.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
that was
the bottom.
Sludge at
It
that.
was
was
delicious.
It was thick.
So, yeah, we had talked about Obi-Wan episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah, I feel like my thoughts were positive at the time.
Yeah.
I feel like the first episode, I really liked. The second episode I thought was mostly filler.
Yeah, it was the chase scenes where he's
Yeah.
got Leia and they're running away from Third Sister.
Right.
There was a lot of that, like I don't
very-
want to use my Force powers. I don't trust that my Force powers are here.
Yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
it's like, I don't know, what is it? It looks like they're in like Bangkok or something
Yeah.
like that. And but the end of that episode, though, was a very, very nice moment. I don't know. I guess I'll save my thoughts till we get into the larger series. But I had a positive impression for the most part
Sure.
at that time.
I think I had a mixed review, like I usually do. It was,
Yeah. Sean's always measured and tempered.
Oh, yeah. Tempered, that's what they call me.
Fuck you!
Yeah.
Smash.
It was, it was some things I thought were good. A lot of it I felt like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I hope you like Mike, and I'm going to reserve my judgment until we get into the rest of this discussion.
Well, I really only have one question for tonight. Did we need this,
No.
Mike?
No, we didn't need. No.
Did we want this? And then we'll get into why or why nots for both those.
I mean, I sure did. Yeah.
Yeah?
I wanted something
Yes.
different than what we got.
Fair. I will tell you that I only wanted the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I wanted the Darth Vader Obi-Wan battles that we got.
You know what I wanted? I wanted a separate Darth Vader at the height of his power show where it's just, bring Hayden Christensen back, great. But let him be Darth Vader. Let him just do something without the Skywalkers at all involved in it, and he's just going off and being a terrorist in the galaxy, whatever. Give me an Obi-Wan story.
Ewoks.
What's that?
Crushing Ewoks.
Yeah, whatever. Sure. And then, give me an Obi-Wan story where maybe he gets to do something different, where it's not like he's freaking married to these whiny kids all the time, and it's
Yeah.
the decision to put Leia in this is what killed it for me. It fucking killed it. Did not have to be, was needless, panders to some part of the fan base that I don't even think exists. I was just, when they made that choice, I immediately had my radar up going all right, they could either make this good or completely fuck it up. And I think it went in one direction that I'm not happy with.
To that specific point, I loved the Leia device initially because I thought of it as what would get Obi-Wan off planet.
Yeah, he needs a reason to go.
Yeah,
back
and I thought if Leia is the catalyst for that, fantastic. But it was around, episode 3 or 4 when it began dawning on me that it was, oh no, she's not just the catalyst. This is the season.
Yeah.
And that, I had trouble with at the time. So I don't know. My review of the series is, there's some things I really liked, and there are some things that, I struggle with. But I don't want to, jump the shark here. I'll let you sort of structure how we do this.
That's kind of where I was at when I asked, did we need this? And I wasn't sure if that question was a little too straightforward. It seems like it might have been like, yeah, no, that story didn't need to be told.
Right.
Did we? And it seems like we didn't really want Obi-Wan in the desert, but we wanted maybe what Darth Vader was doing at that time.
Yeah, so let me jump in then and give my review, because I feel like Sean's going to have a lot stronger review than me, so we can work up to that.
We can, yeah.
Mine's going to be a lot more tepid.
Sure. The tea left out for full day review.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I thought the first episode was fantastic, and I rewatched the first episode this morning, actually, and I still think it was fantastic. I loved, just as a piece of character study, I loved seeing Ewan McGregor's interpretation of a broken Obi-Wan. There was that quote in the trailer where he's like, the battle's over, we lost. And seeing him dealing with like the destruction of, everything that he ever worked for, and the guilt that he feels for failing. The Jedi Order, the Galactic Republic, and his Padawan Anakin. I really thought that was fascinating, and you only really truly see that side of it. I guess it's there throughout the series, but a light is really shined on it in that first episode. That's what that whole first episode is about. This is a broken, beat down Obi-Wan. I loved some of the images there. The images of him like working, like butchering that flying whale shark thing in the desert, and then they had just got done saying like Jedi can't help themselves. They have to help people when they see him downtrodden. And the next thing he does is he sees like the foreman abusing that guy, and I'm only giving you half pay. And the guy's like, I got a family. And he's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. You can die.
And then Obi-Wan is just like, the guy looks at him and he's like, what are you fucking looking at? And Obi-Wan's like, oh, nothing. And walks away. I'm like, this is great. Seeing him get on that like truck and get carted off, and he's just with the rest of those like beaten down, poverty-stricken desert people.
He's got to steal a little bit of extra food for his animal, and that's
waking up completely alone in his cave and calling out for his old master Qui-Gon Jinn, and nobody answers. There were so many by nice I mean extremely painful, but in a literary sense, such nice character moments in that first episode. The second episode, as I said before, didn't have a lot of use for most of what happened there. It was basically like, got Leia, and now I'm like running away from the Inquisitors. The end of that episode I thought was really powerful when she said, I'm going to take you to see Lord Vader, and the way you see that like dawn on Ewan McGregor's face in the shadows, what that means. And then the way she says to him, like, oh, you didn't know. And it's this really heavy moment. That was great. I had goosebumps. And then the way that episode ends, of course, with like Vader's eyes opening in the bacta tank. I thought that kind of redeemed a lot of the second episode. The series then lost me for a bit. The third episode, the Vader shit was really cool when Vader shows up and he's just breaking people's necks because he knows Obi-Wan is there, and he's, again, the Jedi will reveal themselves, and sure enough that works. I thought the part where like Vader was gonna like burn him in that fire was such a nice touch, like he's gonna now do to Obi-Wan what was done to him.
I noticed that ground was perfectly flat.
Yeah, but then but that was immediately then. That was exactly. That was immediately, though, sort of undone by, this show had a bad habit of letting people escape in strangely easy ways. In that first episode, they find that Jedi in the cantina, and he literally just runs away, and they watch him go. So here, Vader's got like a few flames in front of him. This is a dude who later in the series will pull a spaceship out of the sky and rip the walls off of it with the Force. But he stands there helpless as a droid shuffles slowly out, picks up Obi-Wan, and walks away with him. That was goofy. That was stupid. Anyway, so a lot of those middle episodes I had little use for.
Maybe he had PTSD about the fire.
Yeah.
And couldn't go through it.
Maybe that's what it was.
That must be it. He refuses to touch fire.
Yeah.
But,
fire bad.
Yeah.
Fire bad. But then, the last couple episodes brought me back to it. Yeah. And I did have some mixed feelings initially. The first time I watched the last episode, the lightsaber fight between the two of them was just so gorgeously done. The setting, the contrast of like the light and the dark, was just so beautifully done. The choreography was awesome. Most of the dialogue was really good, except for that one awkward moment where Vader does that like dark helmet thing, and he's like, "Evil will always triumph because good is dumb." Like he almost literally says that to Obi-Wan. He's like, "That's why you always lose." I struggled with Obi-Wan, like, remembering Leia, and then suddenly all his power is just back.
Yeah, that moment where he's buried under the rocks, and he's like, "This is my will to live!"
That was kind of silly, I thought. However, I rewatched that scene again this morning, and I just decided, you know what, fuck that. I'm not going to think too much about that.
Yeah.
Cinematically speaking, it was a beautiful scene, visually, and the choreography, and again, as I said, a lot of that dialogue I thought was really, really good, really powerful. Vader stepping off, his shuttle and saying, "Are you here to destroy me, Obi-Wan?" And, all that back and forth between the two of them. Obi-Wan with tears in his eyes saying, "I'm sorry for all of it. Yeah. You didn't kill Anakin."
Of the training that they did, that they wove in.
I thought so much of that was very nicely done, so I decided, not to overthink the Obi-Wan comeback bit too much. And then, sort of last point I'll make, and then I'll throw it over to Sean here. I thought that this is a small point. After all the larger points I made here, I'm going to end on a very small point. So much of what made this series effective, obviously Ewan McGregor is always great as Obi-Wan, but it's really easy, I think, to potentially fuck up Vader. I thought they did a nice job with Vader. He's very physically imposing. And what they did with the voice, I don't know how they did it. They certainly didn't do it in Rogue One, where James Earl Jones sounds every bit the 90 years old that he is.
Yeah.
But that voice, whatever technology they threw at it, it sounded like Vader. I mean, it sounded like close your eyes, you're back in Empire Strikes Back in Cloud City. It was beautifully done. All right, so that's me. There was some positive, there was some negative.
Speaking about the voicing, I think what Disney did was the rumor is that they did a digitized version of James Earl Jones. So basically they've got like an Alexa version of him.
Thought so, yeah.
So they can basically do as much Vader as they ever want. And they probably paid him whatever he needed to get paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an audio deepfake. I hope that sigh got picked up by the microphone.
All of a sudden, so if you're a fan of Hamilton the musical, Sean basically just went, "Sit down, motherfucker," because he's ready to come in, but then he gave out.
Sigh symbolizes the winds of Tatooine blowing across the sand.
Like, I wish I shared your
optimistic appraisal of the situation.
I do.
Really? This feels like a trope.
I can't. I'm like, the whole time I'm watching this, I kept looking for the good. I kept looking for the Star Wars of my childhood that I know Disney is desperately trying to find, and all I got was somebody pissing in my goddamn sandbox. This fucking show was an abortion.
It sounds like that's
it is happen. Awful. Yeah, I hate sand. Thank you. It's
coarse.
Oh my god. Thank you. I would have taken 8 episodes of that bullshit. It was like, you talked about Vader being menacing, and I'm like, no. I think they took the teeth right out of Vader. First of all, the show had absolutely zero stakes. Zero stakes. Because I know everyone survives.
And that's part of my problem is, why did we need this story?
Exactly. There was like, okay, he's not menaced. Why the fuck can someone get stabbed right through the gut with a lightsaber, but still miraculously survive enough to travel to Tatooine? But
revenge is a wonderful way to survive.
But they let her live anyway. With Vader never lets anyone live. What was that?
Unless Third Sister gets a spinoff.
Oh my god, it was brutal. Stormtroopers get shot in their armor and they die instantly.
Yeah.
Fucking get stabbed with a lightsaber after... And
that happened twice, actually.
I know!
That happened to the Grand Inquisitor, too.
And the shit they're just pissing on the mythology of the Force every which way now since Disney has bought this franchise. Like, we can transfer lightsabers behind backs across time and space. Fuck that! Or all of a sudden it's like, I don't feel the same connection with the Force anymore. That's not how this shit works. And all of a sudden, like you said, like, I have full Force power. It's like a video game. It's like I was waiting for the energy bar to show up in the top left corner. Like, Obi-Wan got an energy burst. Yeah. Exactly, like power up. Boop, 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 boop. He ate a mushroom. He's great. And just, Hayden Christensen, I always felt like Christensen got really bad short shrift for his portrayal as Anakin.
People did not like him.
And I feel like he did the best he could with what George Lucas gave him. I'm one of those kind of people. And I feel like Disney threw him nothing in this. The only scene where I actually felt a little bit was where, again, Vader's helmet gets cut in half, and yet his face is miraculously undamaged underneath. And he just goes... you didn't kill me, I killed Anakin. And the stupid ham-fisted dialogue with it. The best part of that whole relationship with them was when he says, you should have killed me.
Yeah.
Because you could almost feel like he meant it. Like, you should have killed me because this is all fucked now. That had some pathos. That had some delivery. I'm like, that was it. That was the high watermark for this show. Everything else was just fan fiction done horribly. The cinematography sucked. I thought, what's her name? Is it Moses something? The girl who played Third Sister?
I'm not sure.
She's a fine actress, I know, but like I've seen her in other things. She's good. I felt like she was given garbage in this, and it just felt like like the menace they tried to give these Inquisitors came off as being even worse than it was in Rebels. Rebels, I felt like, at least they have some kind of power or agency or whatever, and this thing just felt like even more cartoonish.
Right.
Ironically, because it's live action.
It's like watching office bureaucrats hurry for middle management positions. You know?
So my one beef with Third Sister is so she watches Anakin kill the younglings, and then she grows up to be a Sith with the purpose of hoping to destroy him from within the system. Is that her thing? Yeah. And then he stabs her in the chest or in the abdomen somewhere. And she still wants to kill Luke?
Yeah!
That didn't make a ton of sense to me at all.
It didn't. I think you're not supposed to think too much about it because what they wanted was the moment where she stands over Luke and she realizes, she's become what Anakin must have.
Which is what you get because they intersperse cuts of the
little... But if you want to do that, then you've got to do the work. I mean, it never made any sense. Why is she going after Luke?
Right. That whole part of this, it felt tacked on. It was needless. It's we got to have Obi-Wan have some reason to go back to Tatooine. I just felt like the whole thing was just trash. Vader in the movies, especially the original 3, and I can give it in Rogue One, you felt like this guy was the big bad. Like, he was, or at least the big bad before the final boss. This is the guy that you would spend hours trying to defeat on NES. He was menacing. And because you couldn't save your game, right? It was this is the guy.
That was the worst part about that.
Yeah. Thank you. This is the guy who, he was never a second fiddle to anybody. And yet, they have him standing toe-to-toe with the Grand Inquisitor, they're some kind of equals. And it just made it feel like this is a dude in a costume. This isn't Darth Vader. Where's the fucking Darth Vader that was no disintegrations? And the guy who is a badass on Cloud City and if you won't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. And no! All of that incredible drama. It's probably ludicrous if you watch it as an adult now and it's your first time, but as a kid, it lands so heavy. This all felt like Disney is desperately trying to rekindle that feeling, and they are fucking it up left and right. I'm at the point right now where I was just talking with my family about this. I have no reason to keep Disney Plus. they've shit on Star Wars so much lately that I'm like, you know what? Do I really need this anymore? Maybe I'm just hurting myself by continuing to watch and support this. And the same thing with like Marvel starting to take a turn, where my family and I love the Marvel movies, and now it's like, I think it's had its moment. Yeah. It's just they continuously crank out bullshit because they know we'll buy it.
Yeah.
They know we'll pay for it. They know somehow, somewhere, someone's going to defend it online.
Yeah.
Because they know the formula now to make it work.
That's not us.
I'm sorry. I wanted this to be like the Mandalorian's first and second season. I'm like, oh, okay, this is something here. They've actually done something with this.
That was a story we didn't know. That was a story we wanted.
Bingo.
We didn't know where it was ending.
Yes.
And I will tell you with, so in our first cast about Obi-Wan, we had talked about how Disney needs to deftly use Darth Vader as like the dangling, come get this, we're going to show you something. And the downside to using that is if you don't do it in a way that people who were there originally want, you will get clapped back at.
Rogue One is the ultimate highlight for Darth Vader being used by Disney. That was perfect. That was perfect.
Right.
You had a couple of seconds of him on Mustafar being this menacing badass in the background. And then you got the ultimate payoff of Darth Vader going on a tear. And it was scary. That's some scary fucking shit when he's tearing those guys up in that hallway. Like, you watch that. That's like a horror movie. You're like, holy shit. That's the Darth Vader I know.
Right.
Nothing else they did with him. None of this stuff in Obi-Wan to me. And that part where you talked about when he's in the back of the tank and he like opens his eyes and everything, like, oh, I recognize his presence or whatever. I'm like, okay, there's some potential. They were kind of starting to tap into it, and they just killed it. They killed it by overusing him, that he's tearing apart the spaceship. It's like the Force can do whatever the Force needs to do to make the plot work. Well, there's a whole other spaceship right behind that one that came out of nowhere. What the fuck was that?
Why can't he pull that one out of the sky?
It's
another one of those bad escapes.
Why did he realize that they weren't on that one? Like, he's not that dumb. I had a big issue with like the original, even 6 movies, where like people who were Force attuned, knowing where other people who were Force attuned were. Nobody knew where the fuck anybody was in this series.
Yeah.
Third Sister didn't know where Obi-Wan was half the time. And you're telling me that Darth Vader, Anakin, doesn't know where Obi-Wan is?
Yeah.
No, get out of here. That's the one thing I couldn't swallow. Besides the Third Sister chasing Luke, for no reason.
And they had easy outs. They could have said that Obi-Wan forcibly discommunicated himself or whatever, excommunicated himself from the Force, like Luke did in Last Jedi. And they could have said he did that as a conscious choice to stay out of the stream, to stay out of like Anakin and Palpatine's thinking and all that. That would have been great. Sure. Reinforce all that if you need to. It would have worked, but they didn't. They sold out for a bunch of like hero moments that didn't land. I thought the girl who played Leia was wasted. She's a good actress. She was wonderful. I thought she was good.
I agree. She was a very cool character.
Yeah.
And the actress did a great job. I just didn't think that it was serving the story very well.
It didn't have to be Leia.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be Leia.
She didn't really have much to play. It was Obi-Wan's story to tell.
If they really wanted to do something great, I'm gonna armchair quarterback this thing. Why the fuck was Dave Filoni not involved in this? Number one. Number two, or maybe he was. I don't know. If you were Dave Filoni, God, dude, seriously?
I'm gonna look it up now.
If he wasn't, they should have gone to him and like. There's other ways they could have got Obi-Wan off of Tatooine. It could have had something to do with the Mandalorians that he was involved with from those cartoon shows, the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that. We already know he has a relationship with them. They could have done something to lure him out. It could have had a little bit of tie-in with their other big product that they're doing there. If they need to have that friggin' merchandising and cross apparel shit, they could have done that. They could have gone anywhere but to make everyone sit there and go like, well, that doesn't fit with the first movie. But that's what I was left with, sitting there going like, well, how the hell does she not recognize him when she sees him on the Death Star and all this other stuff that's going on? Like, oh, you once worked for my father in the Clone Wars. That line means nothing now. Unless she completely forgot what happened to her when she was 13. Like, what? Fucking 5 years or 6 years before all that happened. It was just stupid. It was stupid decision.
Well, it also sort of... there's the famous line from the first movie where Vader says, Obi-Wan, when I last left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. And it's like, no, not if this series had anything to say about it. Obi-Wan, was not the master throughout this entire series. He fought smartly at the end. He caught Vader off guard. He damaged his suit so that Vader was weakened, but he wasn't the stronger Force user. He wasn't the Jedi Master. So that kind of like, now I feel like you go back and watch A New Hope and you're like, well, why would he say that given their last meeting?
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Which is a line that any Star Wars fan would know.
Right.
So, like, how do you not pay attention to that?
Right.
Yeah.
As a
The whole implication of A New Hope is when he talks about him, he's like, I feel a presence I haven't felt in a very long time.
Right.
Like, all of that stuff makes sense if they haven't seen each other since the last duel.
Right.
And they could have made an easy decision. Close calls. Like, they almost came in contact. That would have been enough to get your nerd boner going like, ooh!
Yeah.
And they didn't have to have the payoff.
dangle the Vader.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
They
Which
didn't
is
do
what
it.
we were saying, is they had to carefully manage Vader's on-screen time. And I understand that some people really wanted to finish and get Vader on screen for, fighting Obi-Wan, and then you had to clean up the mess there that you made. But it didn't... So, like, as someone who was watching it just for enjoyment, cool, beautiful lightsaber fight, interesting use of the Force.
Right.
All the rocks behind Obi-Wan flinging at him and stuff. Cool. Fine. As somebody who maybe thinks about this for a hobby podcast, that's where it starts to fall apart a little bit.
I will agree with you guys that lightsaber fight in the last
was fun to
episode
watch.
is pretty to watch.
Yeah.
Until the rock throwing thing.
Well,
That was always Vader's trick. That was like, to me, that was always associated with the Sith. Like, they do things like that.
Yeah.
They will try to get you off balance by an unfair fight or whatever like that. The Jedi never did things like that.
But Obi-Wan
and it was-
realized he couldn't fight the way he fought before.
right.
That's what that training montage the training flashback interweaved was.
Well, right. I mean, I that's the way I took it. Is like Obi-Wan understood that he was getting his ass kicked and he needed to like damage Vader's suit in order to weaken him. But there's still a verisimilitude issue here because I mean, look, throughout this entire series, what has passed 2 days, like 3 days, and we're talking about a guy like Obi-Wan just like barely caught Leia and struggled mightily to catch this 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And like in 2 days, he suddenly has lifted like an entire screen full of boulders, which he is casually launching like missiles.
Yeah.
I mean, why? I need a reason. It's verisimilitude. I need to be able to buy that. And if you're telling me, as the show is, that the reason is because he pictured Leia's face while he was trapped under the rocks, I'm like, no, that doesn't work.
It would have been better if he had just like somehow launched himself out of the rubble.
Yeah.
And like just stood on top of it and just said, I don't think so, Anakin. Or something like that.
I know that.
And reignited the lightsaber and he has to turn around and do like the like that would have been cooler. But no, we got the big visual. This is where we're putting our FX budget. Let's launch some boulders at Vader.
If he had jumped out of the cave he found himself in, and when he landed, the rocks made him taller than Darth Vader.
got the high ground.
Got the high ground.
Yes.
For the third time.
Oh, but he did say some of the things like hello there. Like there was some of those lines where he did the thing.
I'll tell you what though, like you say he did the thing, but that was for me. I actually really liked that moment when he meets Luke and he says that, and it sounds like what is the actor's name?
Alec Guinness.
Yeah, Alec Guinness sounds just like him, and it was like, oh man, I don't know.
I'm sure
it's all nostalgia.
Yeah.
I know it. It doesn't mean it's great writing, but I got some goosebumps at that part.
Well, I'm sure Ewan McGregor practiced that line as that voice.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, they faked
For
them.
sure. Well, I mean, maybe.
Was Dave Filoni involved? Please tell me.
You know
he
what?
was
I got
not.
the cast here. Give me a sec. I'm looking for
Producers or
the
writers or any of that. Come on, Dave. Don't do me wrong.
It's funny that we all agree that The Mandalorian has been like a real high point. The answer is no.
The answer is no. Filoni was not involved
Thank
with
the
the show.
gods.
Deborah Chow directed. Joby Harold wrote. George Lucas wrote. Well, they get writing credits.
He gets writing credits on all of it.
Yeah,
It doesn't
Hossein
matter.
Amini, Stuart Beatty.
That guy who was going
Hannah
to
Frieden.
adapt Snow Crash in 2013.
Yeah. On and off and on and off and on and off.
I feel like
Deborah Chow was wasted on this series too. I'm sorry. She was not the right director to do Star Wars, in my opinion. It didn't feel right. It felt like a soap opera version
did
of
The
Star
Mandalorian.
Wars. Yeah, which is well, they always had a rotating cast of directors. She did all of it, right? I'm 99% sure she did all of it.
All the Mando?
Oh no, all of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, she did all of Obi-Wan.
And she's got a certain sense of... Yeah, she's got a great sensibility on certain things, but like an Obi-Wan show with Vader in it especially, you're getting into the mythos of the Force and things.
Right.
Excuse me. It's not a... thank you.
There we go.
It's not a like down and dirty kind of Mandalorian scrapping fighting thing. This is about that higher level of fantasy that Star Wars ascribes to occasionally.
Right.
You needed that grandiose feeling of, like when they're fighting in the throne room and it's like the and they're going like that's what you needed for this, and I only got it in that one moment in the last episode.
And this was a point that I think you and I had made when we spoke early on when the show had just come out. If you're gonna do Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker, those characters carry such weight and such gravitas in the mindset of the fan base, because whether it's the original trilogy, whether it's the prequel trilogy, or whether it's Clone Wars, we are always talking about galactic-wide stakes.
Indeed.
And the story of them is also like a great mythological tragedy. Anakin Skywalker is basically Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Yeah.
In many ways. And if you're going to bring those characters back, you're going to dust them off, and you're not just going to make them appear. You're going to make them the show. This is now the Obi-Wan Anakin show. I'm sorry, but you have a responsibility then to capture that level of gravitas. They didn't do it. I don't know, the defense that I've heard in reading online is like, well, they couldn't do it. They were limited because it was in between, and everybody knows where those characters are in A New Hope. And so then I'm sorry, then you don't do the show. Yeah. If you cannot think of a way to what they've essentially done here is given us an extended heist arc. Obi-Wan has to snatch Leia from the Imperials. Been there before. And then gets chased for several days.
Also been there.
And that's it. It's an extended heist narrative. Now, as I said before, I did think there were nice character moments in there. That's the only way in my mind to salvage the show. I thought for both Anakin and Obi-Wan, I can say okay, there's some nice, a look at these characters in between character development. Is that enough to justify it? That's why the first question you asked was, did we need this? My answer is unequivocally no. Did I want it? Yeah. Did we need it?
Yeah, that's the worst part. It's like, it's that, for me, it's that cup of coffee at 5 o'clock. Like, did I need it? No. Did I want it? Oh, hell yeah, I wanted it. But then I regret it much later.
Yes.
They could have done a much better job had they, again, I am not an executive. Disney, if you would like our consulting work, we are all
chief futurist.
Yes. 3 of us are available as chief Star Warsists if you were interested. Anyway. It could have been better served had they focused on a smaller story about Obi-Wan, not involving Skywalkers. Maybe he sees Luke. If you got to have Luke in there playing Starman or whatever, a brief thing of him being like, I have to leave for a minute. He goes and has some other completely unrelated adventure because you've got a whole fucking universe to work with, galaxy, whatever. And then if you need to bring Vader into this whole thing, if you want to give Hayden Christensen some work, whatever you got to do, you have a moment where maybe he's training Inquisitors. Maybe it's a thing where he is working with, doing something where he's, doing his bad guy thing, but it doesn't really involve the main protagonist. It's just like a side note. If you got to have him say something, or they got to have that nostalgia boner rub or whatever to get the nerds to go, oh!
That's going to be the headliner quote for when we make this nostalgia boner rub.
Whatever it takes. You keep it separate. If you want to set up a separate Darth Vader spin-off show, it doesn't take more than maybe a part of an episode of him doing something as Vader that doesn't really involve the main part of the series. It could have been handled.
Though, a Darth Vader spin-off, that would be death. Like, Disney, nobody could do that right without having and not have fans revolt against them and unsubscribe to Disney Plus.
HBO could do it.
I guarantee it. Well, HBO, well, sure. You want to get George R. Martin to write that book? 'Cause God knows he's going to start it and not finish that shit for the next 16 years.
Oh, I've got pages, I swear.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Quentin Tarantino has one more movie to direct before he retires, because that'll make
He's
an even
outwardly
sense.
said that?
Oh, yeah. He's said 10 and done, and so he's got one more, and all the talk, all the speculation has been, what is Tarantino's final movie going to be?
Supposed to be Star Trek.
Well, he's talked about that one particular
yeah.
episode of The Next Generation he admires very much. So, but I'm just saying, a Tarantino Vader movie. Just saying.
Oh my god! I am here for that.
It's just a yes, heads will roll playing for like 17 minutes. Yeah, I would do that.
Just like basically like the Bride taking on the Crazy 88, but it's just Vader.
Yeah.
For 2 hours. Oh my! You know how many tickets you would sell, Disney? Just show Vader slaughtering wholesale an entire legion of rebels or something, and it sounds terrible when
with
I
some
say it.
really cool like spaghetti western soundtrack in the background.
You know, Marvel already did it. Marvel, under Disney's ownership and stewardship, did this. They did a Vader comic series, several of them, that really land. They're incredible. They are great stories.
Their own imprint, or is it through like?
It's Marvel does it. Okay. So Marvel, so basically, when they got the rights back to Disney and everything, and the whole thing with Image Comics, I think, or Impact, or somebody was doing them for a while. Anyway, they got it, and they did a whole new run of like the main characters, and then Vader got a series, and it was excellent. It's excellent because it gets into the whole he's a evil badass. But there's also that pathos of like he's not really an evil badass. It's just he's doing this because he thinks he has to kind of. They captured it so perfectly. Those are stories to tell. You've already got the material. Jesus Christ! Not this fucking shit that you get. Fuck this show.
Yeah. You know, it sounds too from things I've read like this story evolved a lot to meet like the expectations.
It was supposed to be a movie, right?
Well, it was originally, and then even when it was going to become a show, originally Darth Maul was supposed to be the big bad.
That makes sense.
Would have made a lot of sense. I don't know.
Robot legs, Darth Maul.
Robot legs,
from Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where we were in the timeline there. I don't know if it was regular legs Maul or spider legs Maul. But you know, they kept changing it, and then even at a certain point, I don't know if once it became Obi-Wan and Vader, but I read too that I can't remember now. I was going back a few months, but they either changed it again to make it darker or less dark. One of the two.
Probably less dark,
because of something that they thought, you know, audience reaction would be. And, you know, it just sounds like they had, you know, and this is in keeping with Disney's reputation. They had, instead of writing a good story, they try to please everybody.
Yeah. Were you saying that Darth Maul could have been the original big bad? That's such a missed opportunity.
Very much so.
Because it would have been a great tie, and they would have went back to Rebels. Yes. People would have went back to Rebels.
That beautiful moment when he kills Darth Maul finally, and they have that like understanding as he slays him in this gorgeous, silent duel on Tatooine. Like that's one of the best Star Wars moments
shockingly
ever.
Brief one too.
Yes.
And yet all the more powerful for that.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Maul has gone through literal like years and years of hell with the single-minded purpose of finding Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And then that duel is over like this, in the middle of the desert at night, unwitnessed.
Do you know who engineered that one there, Mike?
I'm going to guess Rian Johnson was behind that one.
No.
Oh, is it Kathleen Kennedy, your favorite?
Oh, she must have signed off on it at some
Must
point.
have been Dave Filoni then.
Oh, my God. Dave Filoni. Again, the guy who actually probably on our same level of understanding of Star Wars, or I'm sure better because it's Dave Filoni, but...
He understands how to do it. Yes. He's the guy behind Rebels. He's the guy behind Mandalorian. And those, in my opinion, are the two best things that Disney has done with the franchise.
And Ahsoka coming out, which could potentially bring back that pendulum. Well, it's his character. It's his baby. He invented her. It's his thing. He
invented her in Rebels, right?
No, she was a Clone Wars character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was his cell. He got her through George Lucas and made her into a compelling character from starting off very annoying, actually. When they first introduced that
early
character,
episodes.
God, she was awful.
She's very precocious and all that, and but very that's right. But she's a very powerful character by the end of that series. Yeah. She's used very sparingly in Rebels, but to very powerful effect.
Right.
Her, another goosebump moment for me was when she showed up in Mandalorian. Same. Because I hadn't read anything and I didn't know that was coming, and I thought that was, beautifully done.
Oh yeah.
Is that
there's potential.
Rosario?
Yeah, Rosario
Yes.
Dawson plays her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does a great job. And
She does.
The character, like I said, has a lot of weight to her now that they've evolved that character. So I think just put Dave Filoni in charge of all Star Wars. What are you waiting for, cowards?
We'll gladly take our check for consulting on that one. Thanks, Disney. Cool. All right, gentlemen, this is one of the rare episodes where I didn't know what the fuck to ask you. We've done 4 Star Wars episodes. We've gone through random Star Wars trivia. We've gone through a quote battle.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for what to do for a lightning round. So if you have suggestions, I'll do it. If you don't have suggestions, that's okay. We can just move on and be content in the tie.
I'll stipulate to a tie. That's fine. It's fair.
I think we should ask Adam questions.
Ooh.
Fuck. Sure, fine.
What is Emperor Palpatine's first name?
Because I have to ring the bell.
Yes, Adam.
Yes,
I believe you were
Thank
first.
you. Yes! Lord.
No.
Oh, can I answer this one?
And here's a hint. You won't guess it.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's like Eustace or some shit.
You're not that far off.
No? Yeah, go ahead, Sean. Lay it on us.
It's Sheev.
Sheev.
Sheev
Palpatine.
Fuck. Sheev.
You were about to say that, weren't you?
Lord Sheev
Sheev Palpatine.
Palpatine.
Sheev. Sounds like it would be a
Grand
nickname,
Sheev.
for like Sheevius. Sheevius
Yeah.
Palpatine.
Hey, Sheevster, what the fuck's up? What you doing this morning?
What's his-
Gonna go have some beers with Sheev down at the keg?
What's Emperor Palpatine's Sith name?
Oh, I do know this one. Hang on. Sidious, right?
They always have to
Darth
have some
Sidious.
weird connection to some awful
Right.
word.
Yeah.
Insidious.
If I had another 3 seconds
Plagueis.
or one less beer. Oh, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis.
The Wise.
Darth Plagueis the Wise, indeed. Alright, come on. I'm 0 for 1, but that's fine. 0 for 2.
That one, Sean?
What's the name of the reptilian monkey creature in Jabba's palace that he keeps as a pet?
The one in the basement that Luke has to fight.
No, that's the Rancor. We all know that.
Okay, yeah.
The little thing.
We all know that. Thanks.
The little thing that's hanging out with him in the throne room.
It's on his shoulders. It's
Yeah,
on
the one who's
yeah.
like...
chained up.
Yeah.
Lloyd.
No, it's not Lloyd.
See, I'm not even erudite enough in this realm to guess here.
I don't know it off the top of my head. I would recognize it, but...
Fuck. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Fuck you. I
It's
should've
not
put
Lloyd,
that.
but it's not Bib Fortuna because that's the Major Domo.
Leonard.
What the hell is it?
I'm looking.
It's
now.
a two name. He's got 2 names. I know that. It's Bib Fortuna's the guy with the neck. Look you.
Jabba.
Just say monkey creature, reptile monkey, Java's palace. It'll come right up.
Thank you, Dr. Google. Oh my god, that picture is awful. I forgot how bad that Muppet is.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
Crumb,
What?
a Kowakian monkey lizard.
No, maybe I didn't know it.
No, that's not the thing's name. What they call it?
Crumb.
Kowakian.
No, what's the name though?
Crumb. Crumb. Salacious.
That's
the
it.
Crumb.
Salacious Crumb.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Fuck you. Really? That's not a movie thing. That's not a thing. Someone added salacious. Just like I give my dog a
That's
middle
probably
name.
from the Kenner Toys review,
Sure.
release there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like.
Oh, let's give him an easy one then,
Okay.
Sure, you say an easy one just to set me up for failure. Cool.
Oh, I got one. Why did George Lucas say that Carrie Fisher should not wear a bra on set during Episode 4 filming?
I know I've read this at one point, so it's going to kill me that I don't have it off the top of my head right now. Because Leia wouldn't have?
Not
It
that
was
far off.
something to do with his vision of clothing in that realm of the galaxy. He couldn't
Bras
picture.
wouldn't have been a thing.
Yeah, he said they don't wear bras in space. That was his answer.
Right.
So, every boy in 1977 was like, ooh, Carrie Fisher.
Let's go to space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then they were highly rewarded for that in episode 6. She didn't wear a bra, but she wore a very nice gold bikini, solid gold bikini.
Solid gold bikini, yeah.
How do sand people travel?
Single file to hide their numbers.
Very good.
There we go.
Hey!
Now,
Adam's on the board!
No! 1 out of 4. Also could have answered that because of Dune. But either way, that's fine. Fremen. travel in single file.
That is true. That is true.
In a weird, awkward shuffle that made sense in the book, but didn't translate to the screen quite so well.
They didn't try.
They could have left that
out. It was supposed to be like a weird, unpatterned thing, and they were definitely marching in rhythm.
They could have just implied that in the movie. I didn't feel that we needed to actually see that brought to life.
No.
All right, last one that you might get as an English teacher. Sure. We'll end it with here. Ian McDiarmid, most famous role as Emperor Palpatine. What Shakespearean character in a film version of Macbeth, I'll narrow it down that far for you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Did he play?
Is it similar to his role as Palpatine?
I can't even give you that now.
Wait, the question is what character in Macbeth did he play?
Yes.
Yeah.
He played a character in a version of Macbeth starring Ian McKellen and Dame Judi Dench. He played a role in that film version of Macbeth.
Banquo. Macduff.
He's just shouting out random character names.
Lady Macbeth.
No, come on. It's Ian McDiarmid, man. One of the greatest character actors of his era. You gotta go deeper than that.
Running out of characters here.
Yeah.
Seaward. Young Seaward.
What? You egg?
You're closer.
What did you say?
I said, what? You egg?
No, before that. When you said Macduff's ghost.
Yeah.
Or
Banquo's
ghost. You were closer.
He's
only on stage once in the entire play.
Oh,
he was a murderer?
This is really raising the stakes here.
Oh, man, guys. You're killing me.
A witch? Was he a witch?
No, the witches are on stage often.
Was he one of the baby prophecy things? And
no, he's not that
one
person.
of the king.
I think I've named every character in the whole
No,
play.
you're missing a big one.
Big one. But he's only on stage once.
He basically tells the entire morality of the play.
The king, not Duncan.
It's not Duncan. He explains what the whole purpose of the play is.
Fucking the porter.
Yes!
The porter!
Oh,
yes! Like
who tells the first knock-knock jokes in history?
Yep.
What? Knock and ye shall hear enter.
Ian McDiarmid plays the porter in that weird version of Macbeth, and it is creepy as hell because he's like walking around. He looks like Bon Scott with like one of those like cabbie hats, and he's got like suspenders and pants, no shirt, but he's a hirsute man. And
he is a hirsute man.
Oh god! And he's like doing the whole like it's too cold in here for hell, and he's hamming up. And it's like shit. That's fucking Emperor Palpatine.
That's Sheev.
Yes.
Yeah, Sheev Palpatine.
Yep.
And now you know. 1 for 5.
Yes. You know what, Adam? It's better than I thought.
Thanks. Not sure I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
No. You're grossly underestimating your ability to hang with Star Wars knowledge. We're giving you some weird shit.
I believe you underestimate my power.
We do have the high ground.
Yeah, that's fine.
In perpetuity.
That may actually be just the quote every time we talk about Star Wars. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, recommendation time, gents. I'm a no. I'm
a yes. Keep your expectations very, very grounded. Don't expect greatness on the the sliding scale of Star Wars rankings. This is not one of the great ones, but I also don't think it's one of the bad ones. I think it's right there in the middle. It's entertaining. If you keep your expectations low, you'll get to at least see some cool set pieces.
Sean?
Unlike Mike, I am unable to keep my expectations that low when it comes to Star Wars. I figure, you've got one of the most valuable properties or pieces of IP on the planet. You better do your homework. You better do a good job. Save your money. Give back your Disney Plus subscription and don't watch this thing. It is just, don't taint your memories of Obi-Wan and Vader and leave it be.
All right. Well, mixed bag from here at Nerds of the Old Republic about Obi-Wan. So watch at your danger, I guess. Watch the last 2 episodes just for the fun lightsaber. Yeah. So we really appreciate your time here at Nerds of the Old Republic. We are at Nerds of Old Republic on all the socials. Make sure to check out More Than Just Books, Mike's awesome blog here that he is working hard for. He's got a lot coming up for us. He does the not so much. That's a lie. Does a lot there. So make sure to check it out.
I labor over every word. These things go through so many drafts.
Why it's not in the Paris Review, I don't know.
Is it George Martin levels of laboring over there?
Yeah, the next one will be out in the next decade, I promise.
And we'd really appreciate it if you reviewed us and rated us wherever you listen to our podcast, whether it's Podbean, Good Pods, or Apple Podcasts, or any of the other podcatchers. It would really help make sure that other like-minded nerds see us. And if you're not cool with that, just tell one person. Give them a link, give them a listen for maybe a couple minutes, and see if they like what we do. We would really appreciate that too.
Sounds like a chainmail letter or something.
A little bit, except for I'm not threatening to break their good luck or damage their life if they don't do that.
Maybe we should.
Sure. If you don't tell one other person, I'm coming for you. All right.
What do we got coming up, Adam?
We had a lot of discussions on what's coming up because this is the start of season 3, and the next thing for us coming up in the fall is going to be Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And then we're also going to do Blade Runner 2024 in the same month. So
2049.
Thank you, 2049.
There's another Denis Villeneuve, I believe. Right?
Yes.
Another Denis Villeneuve.
Yes,
We do happen to be a fan here in the podcast.
Absolutely.
Filoni and Denis Villeneuve are maybe our favorites here.
And I've become a fan of this Beltline Brewery, Buffalo Bohemian. You know what? That was pretty good beer.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Beltline, if you need some people to shill your beer, reach out. We'll give you a hand.
Yeah, we're whores. We don't care.
No, I have
We'll hawk anything.
Literally no scruples here. So
We actually want to hawk anything. We don't hawk anything when we want to, so.
Yeah, we're wide open to the experience here.
We are bigger sellouts than the Black Keys.
Oh!
There you go. Sean is the only one who actually earned something tonight.
Damn.
So if you're looking to keep up with us for the September the October cast, pick up Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick and Blade Runner 2049.
This spoiler alert is yes, they do.
They do.
They do dream of electric sheep.
Well, I'm not sure that I'm going to read it now.
Yeah, that's why you saved me a couple hours. Thanks, buddy.
Great. All right, we'll catch you up in the fall. Until next time, we'll see you then, nerds. Cheers.
Cheers.